Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Bambi Reads Books. If you're new, my name is Amanda and we talk about books and kind of cottagecore stuff, mom stuff, kind of just all things, but mostly we talk about books. And I wanted to introduce to you, or maybe just give you guys a heads up if you've played the game before, but Book Roast is going to be hosting the magical readathon for the spring equinox, and that's starting next month in April. So I was going to go over and introduce my character to everybody so that you can see kind of what I've set up and the guild that I get to be in. And then I was going to go through, I have some books that meet the prompts for my year in the Magical Academy of Aurelium. So depending on what you pick for what you're going to go to school for your magical character, you are given like a list of like lore, or you have to do like demonology, and then when you look at the syllabus it tells you like this is demonology and this is a book prompt you have to read for that. And in order to pass the class in the magical readathon, you have to complete reading that book and log it for your guild before the end of the month. So, and if you can't finish all in the month, that's fine. It just means that you won't be logging it for the pages counted and for guild points, but you can still do all those things on your own just to progress your character in between the spring and the fall equinox as well, which is the fall is in August. So April and August are the two big months, and then there's also side quests that are kind of fun, so we'll be doing some of those too. So I decided to be, my name is Paldea because I've read Beginning of Arrogance and that was about paladins, and I just felt like Paldea kind of fit for like a female version of a paladin. So the first part that I ended up doing, and you can skip this part, but it is called the Novice Path, and that is just a story to kind of sort you into which guild, so that's kind of like your house, but it's a guild, so which team you're going to be on, and then it also helps you decide which conduit or weapon you're going to have, and then there's a reading prompt for that. So if you end up doing the Novice Path, there are 2 extra book prompts besides just the syllabus for the semester. So I ended up getting the Archivist, and you print out on the e-drive that Book Roast provides, and you fill out the story and how you would respond to the different situations. Like, let's see. 1 by 1, you have all fallen ill next to Obsidian Falls. You recognize symptoms of poison, but had only a couple of minutes to come up with a plan to help keep yourself conscious. What do you do? And then you have to make a choice of what to do. A, I found a herbal remedy nearby. B, found the first aid kit. C, I gathered myself, focused and folded time itself. Or D, gritted my teeth and channeled restorative magic to slowly pull the poison out. So depending on which choice you would make for your character, at the end of it, there's like shapes that you pick up, so it's all random, so you have no way of cheating. And then it tells you which guild or house you're going to be in. So I end up getting Archivist, and each guild also has like a printed page on it. She offers lots of reading, which is kind of fun. So it's like Dungeons and Dragons themed, which I think is just amazing. So here's the information for the Archivist Guild. The Archivists are a guild of lore keepers. They are the guardians of knowledge, both lost and forgotten. They deal in ancient magic bestowed upon them by great power. As a member, you will be entrusted with tomes upon tomes of stories of old, as well as journeys across Aldea in order to receive pieces of ancient lore yourself. Members study these texts to fill hints about creatures, gods, and deities that can be resurrected from history using ancient rituals that only they are privy to. This is a lengthy and dangerous process and requires a lifetime of dedication, but is highly rewarded. The Archivists select a deity they wish to make a pact with, and if successful, they act in the name henceforth. In turn, they are able to channel their magic as their own. They nurture this bond and are able to call upon otherworldly aid in times of need. This can manifest as physical or magical gifts, summoning creatures, healing, or miracles. The guild holds a special interest in restoration, which allows them to take on healing roles, as well as mend broken items that could help uncover ancient lore. Members receive unique teachings on conjuration lore and demonology. The ancient art of bookkeeping is one of their specialties. The archivists are more likely to be granted access to the great libraries of Aldea than any other guild, and are highly trusted with rare records. In Aurelium, members gain access to the temple archives, an impressive sacred library rumored to have an underground level that reaches the very crater of the Amarylite meteor. So the unique callings are gods here. The unique gifts is a pact with a god. Unique conduits, you can pick a pallbearer or a bone, and I picked a bone. Guild specialties, conjuration, restoration, demonology, and lore. Guild access to the temple archives. So that's all the information on my guild. And it tells me which weapons I'm allowed to have. I'm going to have a bone. I have like a deer antler, so I'm going to make it look all pretty, and then I'll have that for once the Readathon starts, I'll have it as part of my costume. So yes, that is what I'm doing. So that is for the archivists. The admissions key, which tells you whichever guild you're in and then which weapon you pick. So since I picked a bone, it says bone skull on the cover or the wood bone in the title. Skulls are bones too. Okay, so the book for having my bone as my conduit, I have my deer antler. In order to be able to use my deer antler, I have to read a book that either has a picture of a skull or a bone or has the word bone or skull in the title. So I ended up picking David Sedaris' When You Were Engulfed in Flames. And I'm going to read you the synopsis, and this will be for my conduit, which is, it's an additional like novice path option. You can just pick a weapon and not do the prompt. I just wanted to do the prompt because I wanted to go through the whole story and do the side quests if I can. So here is for my weapon of choice. This is my book. It's early autumn 1964. 2 straight-A students head off to school, and when only one of them returns home, Chesney Yelverton is coaxed from retirement and assigned to what proves to be the most difficult and deadly case of his career. From the shining homes upon the hill to the black alleys of the notorious East Side, When You Were Engulfed in Flames confirms once again that David Sedaris is a master of mystery and suspense. How about, when set on fire, most of us either fumble for our wallets and waste valuable time feeling sorry for ourselves. David Sedaris has studied this phenomenon, and his resulting insight may very well save your life. Author of the national bestseller, Should You Be Attacked by Snakes and If You Are Surrounded by Mean Ghosts, David Sedaris, with When You Were Engulfed in Flames, is clearly at the top of his game. Oh, all right, David Sedaris has written yet another book of essays, his 6th. Subjects include a parasitic worm that once lived in his mother-in-law's leg and encountered with a dingo, and the recreational use of external catheters. Also recounted is the buying of a human skeleton and the author's attempt to quit smoking in Tokyo. Master of nothing at the end center of his games, Sedaris proves that when you play with matches, you sometimes light the whole pack on fire. So yeah, I don't really know how to feel about that. Like, it's been on my TBR shelf. I know it was a popular book. To give it a shot. It is the only book that I have that has a skull on it. So this is the book, When You Were Engulfed in Flames by David Sedaris, and that is for my conduit prompt. That we have the legacy, so I am in the Archivist Guild, which means that member I have to pick a deity or a god to build a relationship with, and then they're gonna help. Remember, that was part of it. So let's see, I ended up picking Astra, Goddess of Dawn and Beginnings, and it's the first book in a series. That is the prompt. And this is what it says about Goddess of Dawn and New Beginnings. Patrons find their abilities in restoration and inscription or strengthened. Their powers are tripled in the early hours when they also gain the ability to conjure a temporary familiar. Temples are made of white marble and are only accessed when the morning sun shines upon it. So I get a temporary familiar, and apparently she only kind of has power during the daylight hours, during the morning hours. So I have to find the first book in the series. So for the legacy pick, which was Asara, the Goddess of New Beginnings and Dawn, it says pick a book that was first in the series. So I picked Beginning of Arrogance, which is where I got the name Paldea. He's a paladin, and it is book 1 of the Paladin's Journey. And I did read a little bit of this. I have this on audiobook as well, and there's also a second and I believe a third book perhaps, but I know there's at least a second book. So I'm going to go ahead and read this one for my legacy. Here's the synopsis for Beginning of Arrogance, The Paladin's Journey, Book 1 by Brian Cole. Paladins are nothing but trouble. Stories about paladins are everywhere. Noble warriors riding magic steeds into battle against terrible foes. Champions of their gods, heroes to everyone except those who already have everything. Paladins are notorious for upsetting the balance of power to the detriment of any who do not worship their deity. So when Krell is called to serve by the capricious god of the seas and skies, Reknor, those with wealth and power can't help but be concerned. Reknor hasn't called a paladin in years, and his nature is ever-changing and erratic. The fact that Krell is also an uneducated nobody with a stubborn streak as wide as the sea turns their concerns into fear. All of which matters less than the threat clawing its way from the waves, ready to turn the ocean red with spilled blood. About the author, Brian is an avid reader and has loved the fantasy genre since he was a child. His love of stories of mighty knights, terrible dragons, and noble steeds has inspired him for decades. And that is all the novice path. So these two are just set up for my Earhorn and for picking my deity to help me in battle later on. So which group I'm in and what my legacy will be and all of that. I need to know what type of character am I, right? Like, so I picked Alterians because they like crows, and I thought that was good. So here's information about Alterians. Alterians are the most secretive of races. They reside in the great underworld libraries of Dark Meadow, and you will scarcely meet an Alterian elsewhere. Alterians are trained from a very young age to be quick of both wit and body. Over the centuries, the main objective of Alterians has been to collect and learn from all written texts, especially tomes long lost to the dark forces. Those attending the academy can have a hard time adjusting to its different pace and ways of living. Unique features: very pale, have red glowing eyes and fangs. Alterians are the only people with an innate ability to shapeshift, particularly to crow form. Although somewhat abandoned, some clans still carry a teaching of blood magic. Alterians are repulsed by blood and flesh and do not eat creatures unless unavoidable. Affinities are shapeshifting, art of illusion, and conjuration. So that's why I picked Alterians, because of the crows, and I thought that was fun. The reading did say that Alterians generally live in Dark Meadow in the libraries, but I decided that I will be living elsewhere. So I wanted to live in Etheria, and it's pretty. I'll put up a better photo of it, but Etheria. And this is what it says about Altheria. Altheria is the greenest continent filled with life. It is home to the vast forests and majority of Aldea's wildlife. There are very few moments of stillness in Etheria, as it constantly buzzes with movement, and some say even the mountains cannot stand still. The continent's enjoyed a perpetual spring season, with blooms welcoming in the native every sunrise. It is not surprising that the Earthlings are native to the continent. Their affinity to nature magic stems from the ancient powers carried by the roots of the mother tree, which predates the Amaryl since its arrival. The flora and fauna has flourished even more. Erythia is known for its ruins and tombs. There are homes to many spirits and unknown creatures who guard and protect them from unwelcome eyes. In fact, it is considered the most haunted continent of Aldea. This makes it a popular destination for those seeking knowledge of the past, albeit a very challenging one. Only one urban city can be found in Altheria, beyond which the native landscape is. People from these lands have usually grown up in all small private communities to coexist with nature outside of technology. The largest population group is Earthlings, followed by Elves. I thought that sounded like a lovely place to live. And then I ended up picking Godseer because that was a special calling for the archivists, and I just figured since I have to pick a deity that why not just try the Godseer thing. So here's what it says about Godseer. This is the reading for it, and then we'll go over which classes and pick the rest of the books for the spring semester. So Godseer. So here is the description for Godseer. What Godseers are capable of depends on their god they follow. They will receive minor boons related to their deity, but their true power comes from obtaining and sharing of divinity. Only after proving themselves will a God-seer be gifted with one. They must devote their lives to their God, completing requests from them and influencing events how they see fit. As a result, a God-seer often spends their time alone, or moving from place to place without making deep connections. It can be lonely, but you're never truly alone, and they will find friends in those of their faith. Often the power is received in small flashes, a single vision of the future, a certainty that a thing is true, a blast of radiant power, a wound healing instantly. These small miracles and surprises are largely responsible for the appeal of this lifestyle. You will not have a boring week. Unlike most other magical branches, your powers are not clearly defined, and there are no known limits to the possibilities. Once they are deemed worthy, the boons they receive are extraordinary. Each share has a different ability. Foresight and vision of the future, omniscience, ability to know everything about the world and history, omnipresent to be everywhere and see everything, omnipotent, the power to change the world to their will. There are even some God-seers who are granted immortality, surviving the unsurvivable, are living past the years assigned to them. Only the most dedicated gain extensive access to such abilities, and rarely are they blessed with more than one at a time. Key traits are devoted, loyal, and trustworthy. And we have to study for the spring equinox for God-seer. God-seer classes that need to be taken for the spring equinox. These will be the book prompts. So for the spring equinox, I am to study for astronomy, inscription, phonics and divination, restoration, conjuration, demonology, and lore. So what I need to do, so once you pick what you want to study, so God-seer, you take the syllabus right here, and we go through each one and we pick a prompt, a book for each prompt. Class that I chose, which is God-seer, and there's so many to choose from. This was just the one that I picked. And then you grab the syllabus, which is all of this can be printed off from the G drive that they offer, Book Bros offers. And so we'll go astronomy, and so I'll look down here and I'll say, where is astronomy? Astronomy, we'll be doing Constellations Part 3, and that means a zodiac recommendation. So this one, I actually wasn't sure, so I had to go and watch her video. What she means by this is there's videos where they say, hey, based on your zodiac or your personality type, your zodiac sign, these are books that we think that you would like to read as like whatever. I'm a Libra, so I end up just pulling up, and I will share the clip of the video here where it talks about the Libra and gives the two choices. So I ended up taking her recommendation for the book Bunny, a novel by Mona Awad, and by the author before. So this was the one that I picked. So I will go ahead and read the synopsis, and this will be my prompt for astronomy for a Libra. And this is Bunny by Mona Awad. A scholarship student who prefers the company of her dark imagination to that of most people, Samantha Heather McKay is utterly repelled by the rest of her graduate fiction writing cohorts at New England's elite Warren University. A clique of unbearable, saccharine yet sinister rich girls who call each other Bunny and seem to move and speak as one. But everything changes when Samantha receives an invitation to the Bunny's fabled smut salon and finds herself inexplicably drawn to the front door, ditching her only friend Ava in the process. As Samantha plunges deeper and deeper into the Bunny's world and begins to take part in their monstrous experiments, the edge of reality begins to blur. Soon her friendships with Ava and the Bunnies will be brought into deadly collision. A work of toothsome and fanged intelligence, wickedly hilarious, says the New York Times, deliciously evil. Awad is a stone-cold genius, says the Washington Post. So that sounds, I've heard it's like Mean Girls, but like with a magical twist. That's what I've heard. So I'm looking forward to reading that one. And I will link the Zodiac video below that I used. And I will consider possibly making, I probably will make a Zodiac video recommendation of my own from books that I've read, and then I will link that below, but I will link the one that I used so that she gets credit and that you can look through, because she has some amazing videos as well. The second class that I need to take is Inscription. So we go down onto the syllabus. Inscription is practical typography. Write down 3 titles, fold it, and then pick one. for picking 3 books and choosing one from the pile. I didn't do that. What I ended up doing, I changed a little bit, but it was still a random draw. I had the viewer TBR jar where if you watch the lives, if you mention a book in the comments, I will put it into the TBR jar, and I try and draw 3 of those out every month. So I drew one extra one for this prompt. So what I ended up drawing from your guys' recommendations and suggestions was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. And this was actually one that I also ordered. So I didn't have this one, it's new. A vampire's bride and an alpha werewolf form a dangerous alliance in the enthralling new paranormal romance. Misery Lark, daughter of a powerful vampire councilman, is an outcast. Her days of living anonymously among humans are over. She has been called upon to uphold an alliance between the vampires and the mortal enemies, the Wares. Wares are ruthless and unpredictable, and the Alpha Low Moorland is no exception. He rules his pack with absolute authority, but not without justice or feeling. It's clear from the way that he tracks Misery's every movement that he doesn't trust her. If only he knew how right he was. Misery has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience. Reasons that have nothing to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with only one thing she's ever cared about, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to get back what's hers. Hazelwood unleashes her sparkling voice and wit on paranormal romance, on a paranormal Romeo and Juliet, says international best-selling author Ruby Dixon. Ali Hazelwood's finally given us a paranormal with her trademark humor, twist, plot, and spice that doesn't quit. Buckle up, says New York Times best-selling author Hannah Witten. So that sounds fun, spicy, and a little bit the second class, which is Inscription. So now we're on to the third class for Godseer, which is Sonics and Divination. So let's see. Clairsentience, level 2, I believe, and it's a prediction bingo. So this one is prediction bingo is where you take, and I had to watch G's video on this from Book Roast as well because I wasn't sure what that meant. So what it is you make a bingo card. You pick how big it is, whether it's like tic-tac-toe size or you want to make it like an official bingo card. And what you do is you make predictions about the book. So you say, like, I think the book is going to be, like, it's going to have a slow burn, or it's going to have, like, a thriller, or say, like, I predicted this book is going to be, like, a 4-star. Whatever predictions you make about the book before you read it, you put that on the bingo card and mark them off as you read the book and see how many predictions that you made that actually came through. So I ended up doing something a little different, of course. But I have this book, A Little Love Song by Michelle Magorian. And this was one of my favorites when I was younger. I actually ended up, it's a romance and it's a little dirty, like barely dirty. But for me, that was like contraband in my parents' house. So I read it once and then it got taken away. And then I ended up having to wait a couple years to finish it. And so when I finally finished it, I was like, that is so sad. But I have not read this book, I would say, how old am I? It's got to be at least 12 years, if not longer. So I made predictions on things that I remembered from 12 years ago on my bingo card. And I'm going to read it and see if I still would give it 5 stars today, and to see how much of the things that I thought happened in the book actually happened. So I'll go ahead and share my bingo card here. These are some of the things that I think will happen during A Little Love Song by Michelle Magorian. And like I said, it used to be one of my favorites, and I still consider it a 5-star read, and I want to see if I reread it this many years later, if I will still feel that way about it. So that is the one I did for Prediction Bingo, and I just made my own bingo. We have 4 more. So we have Restoration. So if we go to Restoration, that says Regain Consciousness, a book you think could cure a reading slump. So a book that I think would cure a reading slump, and this is actually a book that I have read before, but it is another one of my favorites, and it is The Forest Wife by Teresa Tomlinson. And I've heard that there is another book called Child of the Maid. This is a very thin book, but I do think it's a spin-off of like Robin Hood kind of, but it's like tells the story of the Green Man and the Forest Wife, and like how like the whole tier works, and like why she's there and why they say that she's a witch, and like it's a beautiful story to me, and the ending is so sad and so pretty. And like I know it's a children's book, but it was just one of those books that when I read it, like I think I read this book at least once a year. Like, I would have to say, if I had to say I had a favorite book, this is my favorite book. And I know that's silly because it's a baby book, but I don't care. Like, I fell in love with the story of the Forest Wife and the Green Man. And honestly, like, it is one of my favorite, absolute favorite. I love Beauty and the Beast, but the Forest Wife and the Green Man, there's something special for sure. So I think that if somebody was having trouble, this is a short read. It's easy to read, and I think that the story would be nostalgic for anyone, and that I think it would get you back into wanting to read some more. So that's what I think. It's got a little bit of everything. The next class is Conjuration, and that is Blinding Prism, and that's the color wheel. So what I did is I used this color wheel app here, and I will link that below too. It's not mine, it's just one that I googled and found, and I ended up getting white was the color that I ended up getting. So I picked a book that has primarily a white cover, and that ended up being Mother of the Bride Murder by Leslie Meyer. And this was actually a book that I had, and it was just one of the very first white books that was on the shelf, and I grabbed it. So that is that. And I don't know much about it besides the fact that at some point I picked it up and I read the synopsis and I decided to put it on my shelf, and I don't know how long it's been there. So it's time to read it and enjoy it. I'm sure it's a good book. I haven't chosen it yet. So here we go. When Lucy Stone arrives at a sprawling French chateau with the whole family, it should be the trip of a lifetime, especially because she's about to watch her oldest daughter Elizabeth marry the handsome, successful man of her dreams. But while navigating the vast countryside estate owned by her impetulantly wealthy in-laws to be, the jet-lagged mother of the bride has a creepy feeling that Elizabeth's fairy tale nuptials to Jean-Luc Schoner Rene are destined to become a nightmare. Maternal instincts are validated the moment a body is pulled from centuries-old moat on the property. A young woman has dropped dead under mysterious circumstances, possibly at the hands of someone at the chateau. An unflattering rumor about Schoner Rene lying in their inner circle flows like champagne. Then there's the matter of Elizabeth's hunk ex-beau showing up on the scene as she prepared to walk down the aisle. With tensions building, personalities clashing, and the real danger emerging at the chateau, Lucy is determined to protect her family, together for the first time in years, and expose the one responsible. She'll have to locate the culprit among a list of worldly, jilted lovers and potentially criminal, or Elizabeth's trip down the aisle could end in tragedy. So that sounds... I don't usually read a lot of, murder mystery. I usually like to watch my true crime on YouTube, but I am excited to read that, and it will be... maybe I'll end up loving it, because, I didn't used to like horror or thriller until I gave it a try, and now, I like some of it. So, give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. I am excited. It will be fun. I haven't read any wedding books in a while, so that will be a good shakeup. The next one is Demonology, and Demonology is Pax and Contract. A book I did not pay for is Jane Porter, Flirting with 50, and this was sent to me by the author. She also sent me, I believe it's called Flirting with the Beast, and I have not read either of them yet, so I will be starting with this one for books I did not pay for. And here's the synopsis. Paige Newsome is finally at a place in her life where she's comfortable. She loves her job as a college professor in Southern California, lives close enough to her mother to visit her regularly, and has 3 daughters who are flourishing in their own careers. Paige has no plans to upend her life again since her divorce 8 years ago, but she's about to embark on a new adventure, co-teaching a course that includes a 3-week international field study. Paige can think of a dozen reasons why she shouldn't go, one being a dazzling Australian biologist who will be teaching alongside her. Professor Jack King is charismatic, a seasoned traveler, and more like Indiana Jones than Indiana Jones, all of which unsettles Paige, who prides herself on being immune to any man's charm. She isn't looking for love, and it turns out neither is he. But as the 2 co-professors lead the rigorous program together, first on campus, then in beautiful Tanzania, their biggest challenge will be working together closely while resisting the unbearable chemistry they feel when they're with each other. Spicy adult romance, and that is a book I did not pay for. Here is The Legend of Dia, which is for the lore class. It has been interrupted, and it says read The Legend of Dia, so here we go. The Legend of Dia. Before Aldea was a place of seasons and cycles, before the people there was life. Life as we know it, not now. in a form that is hard for us to comprehend. Life never ending. It all took place long before Amalur, back when the land was young and unexplored, and being an Aldea were a variety of unknown today and long extinct. Whilst idyllic in theory, the practice of such existence is complicated. Life without an end can turn traitorous, meaningless, slow, agonizing. There was joy and happiness, but there was also emptiness. Creatures aged slowly, but aged still. Were injured, suffered, healed, recovered, grew tired. According to legend, death is learned and life began from a teacher. The unspoken request was heard by the cosmic goddess who took pity on Aldea. She had seen young planets before and knew exactly what to do. Dia had to teach life how to die. Every sundown she would fall from the sky to gently lead the dying creatures to the afterlife. Some had to walk quite a bit, some just for a few hours. As they walked, the goddess would talk. She would speak of life elsewhere. She would tell them stories of heroes and small acts of kindness and cruelty, of maliciousness and consequences. She would speak of life with its pains and beauty and morals. She would speak until listeners lived 1,000 more lives than their own and felt content to let go. She would hold their hands until they were reborn to be different and live another life, yet untold, a gift of a new story from the goddess. The legend dictates that every old path of Aldea is a path left behind by Dia, walking the creatures night after night, changing the course of the planet and those who will continue walking here long after she moved on. In a way, Dia was the first to map Aldea, to walk and to live it. The gift of passionate life, beauty, and imperfections eventually led to the appearance of Earthlings and all the other immortal races. After Dia left, and as generations passed, the people of Aldea moved on. They began worshipping newer gods, but have never forgotten the precious gift of rest, rebirth, and mortality that Dia brought. So I'm not sure what... So that's the legend of Dia. I'm not sure what that means for us just now, so I'm assuming during the readathon next month in April that they will let us know, and we'll see what that turns into. So far, that is all of the book prompts that I have for the main readathon, and I will be back to let you guys know about any side quests, and also I wanted to get my certificates for like dragon riding and stuff, so I'll let you guys know about that. But so far, that is my stack of books to start with. And I will check back in with you guys a little bit later before it starts, but I'll see you April 1st, and we will be diving in and seeing which class I should start and attack and complete, because I want to move forward and be, I don't know, not a novice. So have a good night. Thank you for listening. Let me know if you've read any of the books. Don't forget to catch me on lives on Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday evenings, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you very much. Please hit the like, and if you want to leave a comment, just letting me know that you finished the video, and let me know if you are going to be participating in the magical readathon. Any of that would be great to know, and I appreciate you all so much. I love you, my lovely book people, and I will talk to you later. Have a good evening. Goodbye.